MyGuide for Insights, which is basically our insights portal here. And what you see here is first, it's what we call a CIO dashboard. It's a bird's eye view of what's happening in the organization. You see how many guides have been played here. Are they played in MyGuide mode or guide me or show me? Guide me is those balloons that are going around. Show me was that blowing it up in the big screen, and you can see it that way. You see the top performing guides here, how many times they've been played and if they've been played fully and that on and so forth. And then here you have user engagements. In my demo instance, it's not too much user engagement, but there's a little bit. And then you see the app summary of the different apps that are in here. Currently, I'm spending all my time in one app. So if you have multiple applications, the app usage time is a way for the CIO organization to actually see whether the number of licenses would be, right. If they're spending way too little time in the application and you have, thousands of idle licenses, maybe you should reduce the number of licenses, right? And then the end part here, where they're accessing the guides and the top 10 workflows here. So this is basically just a summary and overview for the CIO part of the application. We can now go into this in depth here and start looking at, how many times have they been played versus completed. So you see only 33 times have been completed. So a lot of people X out of the guides before they're finished, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad guide. It's similar to the GPS. You only use it when you need it. When I'm in downtown Delhi, I don't know where to navigate, but as soon as I'm up on the freeway, I know where to go because that takes me straight home, right? Yeah. You see here how many media types have been, played and how many times they have been downloaded here. We have, all of this it's available for you here in the analytics portal. Here is the test me, and not as much of a use case in this case. It's a way to run the guides in a testable mode, so you can see if people understand how to use the guides. And then we have automation and surveys and other stuff here as well. So this is the in-depth area of all of this. And we have that, it's available for you, so you can utilize this application data. If you don't want to show it here, you can export it and bring it into a third-party tool like Tableau or Power BI, and you have both of those available as well. And same thing for tooltips. You will see that we have right now. I see that we don't see any tooltips here, but if you want to basically change the search here, I have it for the last 365 days. I can do the last 180 days. And as you see, there aren't too many tooltips that I've been using in my presentation as of recently. But then we have all of it here. We have the tooltips and validation, duct tape, and power form that we were talking about. We also have user engagement. How are people, being engaged by what we have shown here? And you see, again, this is from my demo portal, so it's not as much as you would probably like to see. But we have a little bit of user engagement here, on these dates. And then what I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about here as well was the search part. You remember we talked about how the search words that we were typing in and how many times they resulted in an action. You will see here that we have 3,644 searches and only a third of that resulted in action. So for me, it tells me that I'm not doing a good enough job in my in the guides there, because people are often searching for something that doesn't come up. Again, I only have 10 guides, so that may be a reason for it. Maybe I should, generate more guides based on these search words to understand, where people get stuck. And this is here to tell me that. And that way, you also see, how many times have been people using that search word, how many times had they clicked on something, when they did that. So this is information that you have here for you. And this is just for the guide part of it. We also have what we talked about with MyGuide and WalkMe for, tracked events, how people are navigating an application without the guides. This is what you can see here, right? Facebook or other areas, how are they doing this? And this is giving you an information about where people get stuck so you can create a guide for them to unstick themselves here for this. And again, there's a lot to go over here. I just wanted to show you some of these things. We have a full automation both for guide automation, but we also do have a QA automation. We can have, the people creating the guides run a bot to test the guides for them in case, Salesforce has changed something or CRM has been changed or a new, page has been added to the application. So we want to see if the guides are still working. And then, you can go out for a cup of coffee and the system will test all these guides for you. And when you come back, you'll have a full report saying, guides 1 till 10 worked flawlessly. Guide 11 did not work. It was on step 4. It broke. And that way you can go directly to guide 11, step 4 and see that. So this is just basically a little bit of everything that's in here. I could spend hours sitting here and talking to you about it, but we have all this data at your fingertips. So you can utilize that data or you can export it, and get that information about how are people actually, working in the application itself.